Hello, Triple S members. Welcome everybody to our first podcast of 2021. We've all got 1 month under our belt already, but in a lot of ways in the world, and especially the Jansan industry, we're still feeling the profound effects of COVID-19. In the past year, facilities have had to completely reevaluate what is important to their cleaning and maintenance programs, and disinfection has become more critical than ever before to public health and safety. So to that end, I'm joined today by Jeff Van Kirk, VP of Customer Experience at EnvirOx. I'm sure many Triple S members are already very familiar with Jeff and the exceptional work that he and EnvirOx do in the industry. But Jeff, for anyone that's not familiar, would you mind telling us a little bit about what you guys are all about?
Yeah, so EnvirOx our products are put out there for the safety and health of people first and foremost. That is what is important to us. That is what our guiding principles are set by, is ensuring that the products that we put out in the marketplace not only are as good or better than traditional cleaning products, but that they have a health and safety profile that fits within the environmental stance that EnvirOx has, both for people and our environment.
So a lot of times when people are speaking casually about cleaning, they tend to use the term cleaning and disinfecting interchangeably, but that's not accurate. And one of the things that you guys stress a lot is how about cleaning and disinfecting needing to be a two-step process. So what exactly is the difference between cleaning and disinfecting, and why is this two-step process necessary?
Absolutely, and thanks for asking the question. Cleaning and disinfecting is truly a two-step process. Cleaning is the process to physically remove the gross soils from the surface, and it's important to use an effective cleaner and tools such as microfiber mops, microfiber wipers, because you want to maximize the removal of that soil load. Disinfection refers to the killing or destroying of microorganisms like bacteria, fungus, and viruses. Disinfection entails the process of applying the actual disinfectant product to the surface, ensuring that surface is completely covered and allowing the appropriate dwell time to occur. Dwell time is important as the EPA requirement for a product to achieve the listed kill claims for the bacteria and viruses is that the surface remains wet. And that means that the product completely covers the surface and you can visibly see liquid on that surface for it to be able to have the listed kills on the organisms for those timeframes.
Makes complete sense. And so that kind of makes sense then as to why disinfection needs to be a two-step process, because you need to do that initial cleaning in order for that disinfectant to be effective. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. Cleaning removes, dirt and destroys some, but not all of the organisms on that surface. If the soil load is too great, the disinfectant won't be able to effectively do its job. Simply put, that it'll never penetrate the surface you're trying to disinfect if you've got a soil load in between the two.
So with all this talk now about cleaning and disinfecting, I mean, people have just been going nuts with good reason, because I mean, this is an unprecedented public health crisis. But, prior to that, there was kind of this big trend of cleaning with environmentally friendly products.
Yes.
So with everything that's been going on with COVID, in your opinion, do you find that environmentally friendly is still important for facilities? Or like, how do you guys approach that?
Yeah, to us, it's more important than ever, because disinfectants right now, as you mentioned, the pandemic, they're being used at all-time highs, and they're being overused because people look at the disinfectants as their one-stop shop to be able to kill the COVID-19 organism, to be able to prevent, the spread of disease within their facilities. But what's happening is that overuse of disinfectants, it's creating a situation where indoor air quality is suffering, chemical residues that are trapping the dirt and contaminants on the surfaces, facility surface damage is occurring, and a host of other issues. Just they're increasing due to this overuse of disinfectants. Using an environmentally friendly cleaning product that does not add to the toxic load that you're placing within those facilities and within people's bodies, but rather takes away from it through the removal of the residues and leaving a surface that is truly clean, is more important than ever, especially during this time where disinfectants are being overused so greatly.
So one of the environmentally friendly products that we recommend to a lot of our members to utilize is your H2 Orange 2. It's a very popular product. But I'm curious if you can kind of explain a little bit, what is it about that makes it environmentally friendly?
Yeah, so EnvirOx carries a host of products that we have third parties green certifications or EPA registrations on. Per federal regulations, EPA registered products may not carry green certifications. So,
Okay.
for example, an EPA registered sanitizer viricide cannot have a green seal or an eco logo certification on that same product due to EPA regulations. With that being said, we formulate our products so that we're not adding a bunch of surfactants or what most people would call soap. We use actually 30 times less soap in our products than traditional cleaning chemicals. We use packaging that's made from post-consumer material whenever possible. Our products contain biodegradable and plant-derived ingredients, as well as our proprietary technology, which is much more favorable to the human and environmental health than traditional cleaning products. And then we also highly concentrate our products. So that requires less storage space, less weight to be moved, less plastic and cardboard in the waste stream.
Makes sense. So typically, what we tend to recommend to the members is to utilize H2 Orange 2 as the initial cleaning portion of that two-step process. Because, like you said, much more environmentally friendly. You're not adding extra harsh chemicals. You're kind of just basically using what you need to use to get the job done, but you're not over saturating. Is that, fair to say?
Absolutely. And you're using an effective cleaner. Because like I'd mentioned before, what's important to us is the safety of the human and human health and environment. But we can't compromise the product not being as effective as the traditional chemicals that are out there. And so our stance is that the product has to be at least as effective, if not better, than what's currently out there in the stream.
Gotcha. So that kind of covers the cleaning side of that process. So let's talk a little bit about the disinfection side, because there's kind of a lot of conflicting information out there. There's just been so much over the past year. So let's start with a really basic question that I feel like a lot of people have probably asked themselves at one point or another in the past few months, which is, how do I pick the right disinfectant to use? Do you have any advice?
Absolutely. Picking the right disinfectant is a challenge. And one of the things that you need to ensure to do is that address the customer needs and challenges, ask a lot of questions, listen intently, because before you can recommend a disinfectant to a customer, you need to understand what they're trying to disinfect. Whether it's they're trying to achieve certain organism kills, whether they're trying to clean particular surfaces. Not all disinfectants are made the same. Some of them have a low pH, which is more along the acidity range of the scale, and some of them have a higher pH, which is the alkaline side of the scale. For example, hospital and acute care facilities, they require high-level, broad-spectrum kill claims, especially for their patient rooms, emergency rooms, et cetera. Understanding their particular challenges, such as C. diff outbreaks, potential high turnover with their cleaning staff, it comes with asking a lot of questions and doing even more listening. Let them know that you're there to help them assess their needs and challenges before you recommend those solutions, because it's not only going to include the specific products that they need, but also operating procedures and processes as well. So another example, long-term care might seem like though it has the same needs and challenges as a hospital or an acute care situation. And
Right.
some of those definitely overlap. However, long-term care might have the additional challenge of having to clean the patient room while the patient's still in the room.
That's a good point.
So you want to make sure that you do that analysis to determine which is the best disinfectant for that particular situation and the process that's going to be the best for them. It's going to be different for hospitals to education to food service, you name it.
So on kind of a related note, right? In addition to trying to figure out what chemical you want to recommend to people, there's also the discussion of when to use ready to use products and when to use concentrated products. A lot of questions. So do you have any insight as to how people can kind of help facilities make that decision? Or
Absolutely. And again, it comes down to assessing those customer needs, and assessing both the spoken and unspoken ones. Because they might bring you and show you a closet that that there's no way you're going to be able to get a dilution control system into, or they don't have a water spigot to be able to feed into the system. And so they're most likely going to need more of the RTU, the ready to use type products. Some of the differences, though, is that RTUs can be a lot more expensive than the concentrated disinfectants. Some of the situations are that customers may have a requirement for the dwell time of a disinfectant to be to be as little as possible because training their staff is an issue, or they have to turn a patient room around in a quick amount of time. And so they can't wait a full 10 minutes for, a disinfectant to dwell wet on a surface. So again, it's understanding what those customer needs are, knowing that RTUs are typically going to be more expensive than concentrated disinfectants, and then making sure that the disinfectant that you are providing as a solution to a customer has the kill times that they need, has the kill claims that they need, and addresses all of those unspoken needs as well.
Gotcha. So like you said, it's really about having a conversation with people. It's not so much picking the disinfectant that's perfect for every single situation. It's more understanding the unique situation and then recommending accordingly.
Absolutely. Because it's without asking those questions, without really truly listening to that customer and understanding where they have the requirements, where they have, regulations that they might have to follow. You really have to understand what their needs are, both, like I said, both spoken and unspoken, so that you can ensure to provide them, a process that may involve the triple S 3X Renegade product, or it may be the EnvirOx Critical Care RTU product would be the better one for them. It's just important to really ask those questions and listening, because it'll help you navigate that situation and provide the right solutions to the customers.
Makes sense. So in the same spirit of providing the right solutions, there's been a lot of talk over the past year or so about electrostatic spraying as kind of this innovative new way of dispensing chemicals. And in your experience, as a someone that works for a chemical manufacturer, what are your thoughts on electrostatic spraying? I mean, is this something that you feel works well? There's a lot of misinformation out there.
There is, and Matt, that's a great question. Electrostatic sprayers have become a huge buzzword in our industry over the past few years, and with the pandemic, occurring last year, it's increased even more. So, the application of antimicrobial disinfectants on list N, via electrostatic spraying, um, is has become such a need for some folks, because they have these large indoor spaces. They
Yeah.
have to reduce the risk of exposure to the virus that causes COVID-19. Electrostatic sprayers work by charging the antimicrobial liquid as it passes through a nozzle. And then the positively charged antimicrobial droplets are attracted to negatively charged environmental surfaces. So it allows for more improved coverage. It allows for, think of the underside of a chair arm or the underside of a table. Those droplets get attracted to those negatively charged surfaces. And so electrostatic spraying does a great job at covering all those surfaces, much, much better than your typical trigger spray. One of the issues, though, is that while it works well in getting those underside of the surfaces, it gets a little tricky when how much product gets applied and does it stay wet for the necessary dwell time.
Mm.
You've seen those commercials, right? Where it shows or a demo where it shows a person walking through a room using an electrostatic sprayer, kind of waving the wand around, and then they complete the walkthrough in minutes or even seconds at some point.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
you've got to understand how well that product is being applied and ensuring that that surface stays wet, to our earlier point, because if the necessary dwell time doesn't occur, you can't say that you have achieved the kill claims listed on on that particular product. Do
Makes
your
sense. Okay.
homework.
Yeah, yeah, it's very important, especially because these are things that people are going to be paying attention to even more
Mhm.
as this goes on through COVID and beyond.
So
Um,
one other point I do want to bring up about electrostatic spraying is, the EPA requires that the specific application of electrostatic spraying is notated on the EPA master label for that registered product. Be able to For you to be able to say that using an electrostatic sprayer with a particular product is going to achieve the kill claims, it has to be notated on that master label, because that's what's currently happening. Is a lot of people are just grabbing products willy-nilly and saying, oh, electrostatic sprayer is a better application, I'm going to use it here.
yeah,
Well, if OSHA decides to come in and test your processes and they see that the product that you're using doesn't have electrostatic spraying, then they could very well fine you sometimes up to $100,000 for improper use of EPA registered chemicals.
yeah. That certainly makes sense. So, moral of the story: do your homework.
Exactly.
It is an interesting technology to be sure, but you just have to make sure that you're doing it the right way.
Exactly. And making sure that it gets applied the right way. And, it's probably going to do a little bit of testing, a little bit of give and take and understanding it. But like you said, do your homework and be safe on this.
So this idea of two-step disinfection, you do the cleaning with the H2 Orange 2, you do the disinfecting with, the disinfectants that you've picked after speaking to your facility, be it Critical Care, be it Renegade. Um, this seems like a pretty solid way to approach selling this type of solution. Um, is that true? I mean, what markets can you do this system in? Is there any sort of exceptions, or is this just kind of something that you are pretty safe to promote anywhere?
Yeah. And like we mentioned earlier, I mean, do your homework, understand those, ask the questions for the customer, assess their needs. These products they can be sold in any market. You can go into a hospital or long-term care facility, or you can go into a K through 12 or a higher education facility, BSCs. The mix of product, it's going to be different based upon what those customer needs are, but just making sure that you ask the right questions so that you can figure out what's going to be the best product. Because while the H2 Orange 2 112, for example, has a sanitizer viricide kill claim, and then someone wants to pair it with the EnvirOx Critical Care RTU. Well, a particular customer may not have a need for the sanitizer disinfectant because they have a committee that requires that they use Green Seal products, a
Mm,
sustainability committee within an education system. So you may want to go to our H2O2 Orange Cleaner, which has an Eco Logo certification on it, and then pair it with an EnvirOx Critical Care RTU, to whereas you can actually meet the needs of what the customer requires so that they get the points that they need for their sustainability committees.
So, who are the type of people that members should be having these conversations with? Because, sometimes it's a little hard to know when you're promoting a system like this that may be different from what they're currently doing. Who would be the best person to start having these conversations with in your experience?
Yeah, you want to really key in on the decision makers at the facility. Environmental services director, custodial manager, those are a couple of the titles that you might want to ask for. When you walk into the facility, just be confident, be blunt, ask them for the person who has the ability to make the decisions based upon the facility needs. You'll normally get pointed in the right direction, because a lot of people don't want to take the chance of of getting themselves in trouble by authorizing something that they're not authorized to do.
They don't want to be on that person's bad side.
Exactly. Exactly.
Makes sense. So, I was actually in a school recently, working on something for Triple S. And one of the things that the head custodian that I was talking to said that when it comes to evaluating programs like this, one of the biggest things that he looks at is training, right? It's anybody can come in and sell a product, but he said that one of the things that he evaluates is how easy it is for his team to actually implement what is being proposed. And I think that you guys have done a really good job of providing training materials that makes this type of program very accessible to people. I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about what kind of training materials you guys have available, and kind of like your thought process as to why you decided to offer the things that you did.
Sure. So, we are in an industry where high turnover is the norm. I
Yeah.
mean, not everybody wants to be a custodian or a cleaning professional, that type of thing. And a lot of time it's just it's an early on in their career type job. One of the things that we understand in EnvirOx is that we've got to be able to provide a simplistic view of how to utilize the product effectively, so that they don't harm themselves, they don't harm the surface, they don't harm other people who are in the facility. We offer a wide variety of training materials. We have wall charts, we have lanyards that they can actually put on their cart or wear around their neck. We have training videos, standard operating procedures, etc. We also have the ability that we can customize those training materials for a distributor and an end using customer. One of our strong selling points is train in 10. Someone could actually pick up our products, go online, watch 3 3-minute videos, and be an expert at how to use this product.
That's beautiful, and that's the kind of thing that's so important, because that's the kind of thing that people are looking for, and that unfortunately there's just not enough of right now, especially with COVID. It's really important that people are able to do things the correct way. So having those tools available, like you said, 10 minutes, very simple process, are critical to a lot of members and customers. So I guess one of the things that I also wanted to talk to you about was, you guys you have the H2 Orange 2, you have the critical care, ready to use disinfectant. Do you guys have any concentrated disinfectants on the horizon? Has COVID, caused you guys to be developing any new things? Would you mind speaking a little bit to where EnvirOx is going in the future?
Sure, absolutely. We do have a current disinfectant, our non-acid disinfectant, that actually, due to COVID, we had supply chain issues, and a lot of folks did, right at the beginning, about getting quats and those types of stuff. But we do have that supply chain shored back up, and so we do have a good supply of non-acid disinfectant. The other thing is our research and development department is always working on new products. We're always working on the golden grail, which is a high broad spectrum disinfectant, with a safety profile of an H2 Orange 2 112 or 117. We plan on having additional disinfectant offerings, some hopefully as early as this summer, and they'll probably be rolling out through the next year and a half.
So I guess in general, when it comes to two-step disinfecting, this whole process, what's one of the biggest things that you feel is critical for distributors to keep in mind when they're thinking about this type of system?
Yeah, great question, Matt. I suppose the biggest thing is, don't go into a customer with a prepackaged solution.
Hmm.
One size does not fit all. To my earlier point, asking questions, listening carefully, showing the customer that you're there to help provide solutions to their challenges, build trust with that customer. Being a trusted advisor to a customer is going to make it a lot more difficult for your competition to come in right behind you and try and unseat you.
Makes sense. I think in general, like you said, it's important to kind of take a look at people's individual situation and their goals, their maintenance team, and kind of go in as a consultant so that you can really be providing them, not just a product, but a real solution that can help their whole facility. I think that more than anything is what people need. especially in the wake of all that's been going on.
Well said.
So that about does it, I think, for this episode. Jeff, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show. It was great having you. And one thing that I always also like to ask is where can people go if they're looking to get more information beyond just what we covered here?
Yeah, so if you go out to our website, which is www.EnvirOxClean.com, and that's EnvirOxClean.com, we actually have a pandemic cleaning guide that's on there. Within that cleaning guide, we have standard operating procedures, we have wall charts, we have video updates from our president, Diana Stewart, talking about what's on the horizon. We have videos that show people how to take their spray heads. Spray heads during the pandemic have been a huge issue. It shows people how to take their spray heads, rinse them out, and reuse them. We have all kinds of educational pieces out there. So go out to our website and just start playing around. If you don't find what you need, give us a call. 1-800-281-9604. We're there to answer your questions for you.
Awesome. Well, Jeff, once again, really appreciate you being on this podcast. And to everyone else out there, thanks so much for listening. It's been Matt Kelleher with Triple S, and you've just been illuminated.